laptop for a week, trying out new software, trying new hardware hack or whatever, you can approach those groups and they will generally send you a laptop or give you a laptop that you can experiment with for a couple of weeks or however long it's decided.
Is there a primary reason why it is so hard to buy one in Europe? I mean, $188 for me is funny money. My freaking mobile phone costs 3 times that much. And if I just want to go and buy one, that would probably rise the economies of scale and drive down the prices for everyone on the world. So I guess if every second person in this room or in this conference got one just for kicks of it, it will lower the prices.
That's of course an often raised argument. The thing is that if you're actually trying to sell stuff, I mean literally sell things for money, especially in the European Union, I mean you got to offer things like warranty, like support, that needs resources and money and so on and so forth. And also the thing is that as with the status of a non-profit organization in the United States and all the same thing in Europe, there's only so many things you can actually charge money for. So it's a delicate balance. Maybe it would make sense to make it available on the regular market, but with the current organizational form and structures and also legal status, it's simply not possible. And just on a more philosophical aspect, I think there is indeed the danger also of kind of distracting or blurring the clarity of vision for OLPC, because it is mostly about education in developing nations. And if you start building up infrastructure and have legal entities in every country in Europe and so on and so forth, that might actually just eat a lot of resources and take away from the core mission, so to say. But it is definitely a valid argument, and maybe a different approach would be more reasonable. It's hard to say.
Can I make a suggestion to that? Why don't you sell it as a paperweight? Really, just something that you put on a table to let paper not go. No guarantees, but it keeps the paper down.
Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I think it's doing something like that might work in the US, but in no chance in hell that's going to work in Europe. Sorry.
Hi, that was fantastic talk, and I think this project is amazing because I know this is the way I think technology can change the world, and actually not change like 1,000, but change millions and millions. And one interesting thing is like, what's your take? I don't know. Like, I think technology, I think it should be a part of. We should consider how can technology be adopted. But I don't think it's about a technological problem we have, but in terms of the world, but how people actually use it, and especially young children. You know, like, have you thought about any sort of problems of like in terms of sociological, anthropological perspective of how can actually they use this technology, and how would it be better for their lives? You know, in that sort of way? So
what's interesting is, I don't know if any of you saw the very awesome talk on hacker utopias that was given at 11 p.m. last night. But the thing is there that, how should I put it? Coming from a perspective with some of the technology background, I might not actually be the most qualified person to think about those issues. And there was lots of theories. Again, I mean, if we actually had one laptop per child, of course the world would be different. And I would hope it's better, but it's hard to say that. And I think a lot of it is just work in progress, and we'll have to see. Again, Uruguay is the first country in the world that actually has one laptop per child for all the primary school children. And I think instead of me speculating on what might happen, it's just more interesting to see what's happening there and actually letting people who actually got a clue about these issues actually observe it. I don't want to take too many guesses here, but of course I'm hoping it's positive in many ways. You could think about things like, you know, electronic health things. You could think about you know, people not having to walk 12 hours to the nearest market to find out that the product they wanted to buy isn't there. You can think about things like warnings of a tsunami or whatever, or spreading health information once everybody is connected to a network in one way or another. And actually, at the end, it doesn't matter whether it's this machine or whether it's a mobile phone or whatever. And I think there's lots of interesting possibilities. And a lot of people are working in this space under, you know, ICT for development, but I think it's really early days, and we'll just have to see what happens there.
Okay, we still have time for some more questions. If anyone else wants to come up. Yeah, okay, yeah, I do. Hello. I just like want to say that it's just a really beautiful project, a really beautiful idea. I really like it. Fucking, can you just say ho? Hello. Just another post. It's great. I mean, I really like it. It's a really, really beautiful idea. The thing is, what I didn't understand was why you need people for Twitter.
Can you repeat that question?
No comment.
I have another question, which I actually forgot.
Okay, I hope I didn't forget mine. I'd like to know if the financial crisis turned out to be a serious problem for the whole OLPC project.
This is going to be what we call in German a Jein answer. It's hard to say. On one level, yes, because early in, or at the very beginning of January 2009, OLPC actually let go half of their staff because they were just literally running low on money. So of course, in the sense of a project that's trying to develop technology within the nonprofit sector, it certainly hasn't made life easier. But then again, some of the things that are actually happening in developing nations, regardless of whether it's Nepal, Peru, Uruguay, Rwanda, I mean, if you look at how things like developing agencies, how the World Bank and those kinds of organizations work, they've got a much longer perspective for things anyway. So it might be a bit harder at the moment to actually get money for a new project or something, but the things that are generally running seem to be doing okay so far because it's just a longer-term outlook that's not necessarily as impacted by short-term moves in financial or economic markets.
I got it back. So all that makes me a little bit afraid that we're in Europe going to be the developing countries in the future. And the question was, have you seen any unintended positive or negative consequences of your project? For example, parents borrowing the laptops while the children are asleep and setting up business with it?
I haven't heard those kinds of stories. One immediately observable impact in every country where I've actually talked to people or where I've heard stories is that school attendance in every school around the world where they've distributed those laptops go up. Because school is suddenly, again, perceived as something interesting, where things are going on. You got to realize in a lot of places, children aren't going to school because they have to work out in the fields or have to take care of younger siblings and whatnot. Because school isn't perceived as something very valuable to begin with. Because in a lot of places, again, you saw the pictures, there's going to be 150 pupils per teachers, there's going to be no equipment and so on and so forth, so parents think, why bother? But now with this being a new and attractive thing, attendance definitely goes up. And what's also interesting is that if you look at very, very early social impact studies, so to say, is that it normally says that the coherence within classrooms and schools between the pupils is better, and in some places also the collaboration and the relationship between teachers and pupils also becomes better. Going further away, like with families and parents, there's lots of hearsay and stories, but nothing where I can see that people have independently confirmed that. But there's definitely lots of interesting things happening, yeah.
We have about 2 more minutes. Okay, if nobody else, I have a question. I am very interested in localization and usability, and I was wondering what resources the project has to localize the software and to possibly make it culturally relevant to students around the world.
In terms of localization, it's mostly done on a per-country basis. So people in Germany or Austria who want to have a German version of it translated to German, the same thing happening in India, in China, in South America. And it's mostly really just communities getting together and seeing, okay, there's a need because those things haven't been translated, and there's an open translation process and system in place at OLPC and Sugar Labs. So where all you actually have to do is, even if you've got just 10 or 15 minutes, you can log into a website, look at strings that haven't been translated and translate them. Someone will check if that makes any sense. And then that's basically put in the distribution. And